There we go. Greetings, welcome to the Strange Chat. My name is Dojel. I am, have been, and always will be your very own stranger. And today, let's continue with our library, shall we? That's all the introduction I have. Let's go. Hey Valiant, how are you? Now, I gotta be honest, I have no idea what my plans were. Aside from learning this, I guess. Let's see. Might as well taste some water. Your chair's cushions is falling apart. Well, that's unfortunate. Right, I need to find a new desk. Cool. A poet? I don't need a poet. I think I need someone versed in Nectar and Knock. That is neither. I'm gonna check if I can't use them somewhere else. Always a good thing to do. Not here. But it doesn't appear to be the case that I can use them somewhere else. Which kinda surprises me. But I don't have a good source of winter to give them, so oh well. Side note, I should maybe look into what I can devote this to. The Bosk or Skolakosopher. This would give me even more shots. That's Krill and Nectar, so that's extremely unhelpful. That would give me what added, which at least would be helpful. But I haven't devoted a language to the Bosk yet, so that's going to be first. I'll take a drink so I can get some more water. That is not helpful either. I mean, it's more helpful, but where can I use a consulting engineer? Here, I guess. Revelation is not helpful, Miss Consulting Engineer. How about you try again? A musician. No, that's not helpful either. Might as well do some mild fortune telling. Memory of a storm. That sounds like it could at least theoretically be useful. Wait, where was I planning on going here again? I am so forgetful sometimes. one of these was a broken one. Wasn't it? Or am I doing this wrong entirely? Oh well. Such is life. Before I allow the day to roll over, how much do I have? 2, 5. I have 6, which is not 7. It is sunny. Which I'm not sure I can work with, but we'll have to find it, shall we? Surrealist painter. Can I please just get someone I actually need? What do I even do with you? I guess I can open this hall. Don't think this hall will be immensely useful, but I also don't know where else to send her, so it'll have to be, I guess. The rose-haunted hall. The room is rife with climbing roses, tangled in the lamps, sprawled across the table. Damn it, Dojo, learn to read. The blossoms are deep, deep red, one of those colors not often seen in waking life, and their perfume makes my head swim. Another of Von Lauren's protections, or something else. In any case, it'll be arduous, careful work to clear. And that's why we bring a surrealist painter. Of all things. Alright, let's actually make proper use of the consulting engineer's time. Might as well take the indirect route if it's not gonna be any more expensive. What a factory. That's a word I don't hear too often. That's also almost completely useless, I have a feeling. I guess it'll eventually get me into the next room. Eventually, it's not right now, though. This has long been a holy place, but the Mother Gods has withdrawn her favor now, and a chillness awaits here where dawn will not touch it. Only once it is pacified can I safely pass. The gloomy stare. Goddamn, y'all just do not want to cooperate, will ya? Do ya? Easily get to 7. 8 is going to be a bit weather dependent. Well, that's to be expected. I am playing a bit inefficiently after all. Huh. Summer, the Grail Leather Greatest. I didn't know that summer was a Grail season. I suppose I shouldn't be too surprised. I guess I just figured it'd be the sun in rags. Although it's almost definitely the sun in splendor instead. But, you know, that hour has been divided. It no longer exists. Why is... Why is it seemingly difficult to articulate today? A musician. Can I please get one person who is versed in knock? Can I even use you? Not safely, I can. Have we seen all of the parts of the soul? Technically, yes. But we have only collected 5 of them. An unusual none, thank God. I was getting really tired of that shit. The serpent-haunted bedroom. Bright-scaled, watchful snakes lie coiled on every surface. I think some of them might be real. Always an interesting thing to say. I think some of them might be real. Once again, nothing is history when first it happens. Unfortunately, this place doesn't have a desk either. I thought it did. Hi, I'll have to go into the neglected room next. Well, the good news is there might be someone to teach me a new language. Or, you know, they might just want to read a book. Skulking fugitive. Sure, why not? Princess Kokia Amirejibi. I have no idea how you're supposed to say that for real. Artist, socialite, burglar? An unspeakably charming woman with a particular knack for getting adopted. Getting adopted? If I remember correctly, if I throw my water back into the well I might... You, teach me VOD. The rudiments of this bold language. If I remember correctly, this will make a sound, and sound is a heart aspect of memory, which means I can... Oh, that's a considered window. That's not the window I wanted, but okay. Drop some more water to replace the one we just lost. I've learned enough to puzzle out books in this language, though it might be slow. Consult him with a memory of sound. Before gods arose from blood, before ever apes stood upright, this was the language heard in the House of the Sun. I am Vuk, the peacock daughter boasted, both the tongue and the goddess. I'm the only entrance into secret light. I was worshipped before you upright apes, and I will be still when you are all ugly ash. Listen, and I will prove it. That is a Nyctodromy and birdsong language, which puts me in the slightly awkward position that I have dedicated something to those already, and therefore that I might have fucked up. And this is why you don't half-ass plans. The room above might once have been some sort of lounge, but the furniture and equipment has been smashed and overturned. The walls are streaked with mildew. An unlovely smell wafts from further. What do we get for investigating that room? The patient's lounge. It has a projector. That's right. And a chessboard. And a nocturnal period book. Hail! Ice wraps on the roof and treetops. What is the strongest edge book we have? I don't keep those here, do I? Not very strong at all, apparently. And I don't even have a skybook to try instead. I can always try and exalt someone with it and get into the wind-proud gallery. For how much that will help. A phonograph record. That's mildly unhelpful. And that's extremely unhelpful. Please stop doing that. Just gonna put this picture down somewhere. Where's all my other scale stuff? Outgrowing its shelf, it seems. How do I read this? I have 3 moth, 7 moth. Oh, I can't read that. Hang on. What about the issue that I don't have a moth test to read it at? Right, of course. Well, suppose I'll have to go bother Denzel then. Denzel, need your help with something. And I suppose the musician might as well help too. Give the man his crown. Talk to him about the weather. Let him spend some time with the lunar globe. And start cataloging books. Fraser Strathcoin, so that's not a baron, I believe. Well, it's not the wolf, definitely. Okay. In that ring of sky? Oh god damn it. Where am I gonna find some sky quickly? Oh goddamn, this is the one that had sky. This is why you pay attention, Dojal. Here, have a cup of coffee. Against the sisterhood of the knot and the foulness of their depraved cousins. It's a new sky book, at least. This has long been a holy place, but the rites have gone too long unperformed. The windows are shattered, and only the wind walks here now. And now we have access to the windlit gallery. It gives us a... Am I into books? Not as much as I used to be. Gideon the Wolf. Isn't that my missing the wolf? Was Gideon the second one? Have I read Rita Kent? Absolutely not. If you know, you know. Well, I don't know, unfortunately. Maybe you can tell me about it. A dark book. Well, I don't think I need more darkness in my life, so... That sounds like it would be for someone who isn't me. That's fair. I'll tell you about my darkest life. I would really rather not do that, to be honest. Gideon the Physician, fifth of his line, nicknamed the Motley Baron by those who disliked him and the Cutter by those who feared him. I see. Well, if he's the fifth, then isn't this his pedestal? Hendrik, Thomas, Walter, Musgrave, Gideon, Valentine, and Eva were missing Thomas. I also had a statue of Ambrose Westcott, of Fraser Strathcona. Might as well inspect that too. Do I know how to cook? I mean, on a basic level, I guess. I'm not gonna claim to be a chef or anything, but I can survive. You actually can cook in this game. I just haven't been because I only have so many things I can do in a day, and I don't actually need to eat. So, the collector, formerly treasurer of the Curia, and briefly in absence of other candidates, and to his annoyance, fourth librarian. I see. Well, fourth librarian means you go in here. Passing by a poet. I can actually use a poet. I mean, I am ostensibly human, but apparently I just don't need to actually actively consume food and water. Or maybe I just do that in the background where I don't have to think about it. Before I forget, I should probably actually... That's not strong enough, is it? I mean, I guess my team is minimalism then. Why would I read this here? Oh, that's why. Another forge book. I'm gonna need to figure out a better way of storing those. Also, I'm just gonna throw that in the water. Alright, settle down. Please don't start problems in my chat. I will have to act upon it. Like, a true and complete accounting of the Asclepian mysteries of the roots of the house. Descriptions of the Asclepian mysteries, reproduced by one Riley Grease from, supposedly, a much older text. It's unlikely to be genuine, but it makes a reference to the house without walls and its wood, there, right there, in the prologue. need to go higher. Like, I guess we have access to the dispensary now, and what I really was looking for is a freaking desk. This is very obviously not an antique desk. At the very least, it has been badly mutilated. But it contains substantial intriguing material, especially a persuasive comparison of the house without walls, without doors to the human body, with its many portals. The direction of death is down, the book explains. The peacock door has been considered a rent or an aberration, but in some respects it's more like a mouth, if not a more treasured point of entry. Discussion of the door include a rite which may conjure creatures through these doors, although if key incantations are missing. And thus we learn about weaving and knotwork. Let me guess, heart and crit? No, heart and mouth battling. Well, that's not concerning at all. He. Valentine the Wolf. Not concerning in the slightest. One heart, two heart. What do I actually need to open this? 6 heart or sky. Ooh, a gale. That means I can read this book. Could also use it to open that place, but I can open that place elsewhere. But a bit of luck. Against the sisterhood of the knot and the foulness of their depraved customs, Hieronymus Pseudo-Hypnerotomachus wrote this furious screed about the sinister influence of the Sisterhood of the Knot on his own Church of the Unconquered Sun. things I can start doing is crafting drinks out of thin air. I need more shelf space. A musician. I guess I can always pray. The Gemini at the third. Whoops, I dropped it on the ground again. I don't want to keep you here for now. Memory gossip. If I needed roads that would be useful. I don't know if I need roads that badly. Hieronymus claims that the powers served by the Sister of the Knot made an arrangement. The Thunderskin loved the Yew, and the Grail destroyed him, as restitution for the destruction of the Axe's loved ones. Hieronymus' writing becomes incoherent with rage at this point. Hieronymus recovers his composure, eventually, to describe how the Thunderskin entered the monstrous fruit of Peacock Door. This, Hieronymus insists, is abomination upon abomination, but then that most abominable of doors has always been an abomination. Sky stories. If I'm not mistaken, I might actually be able to make use of those. The Nine Winds gossip, and sometimes we can listen. confounding parable is useful, but I guess I might as well try. I was hoping to make a wistful air, but oh well. That works. Because after that I can give him some time with Baron Silence's astrolabe. Oh, that would have been useful. Nice. And that one's also easy to make because all I need is some sky stories, and one extra source of rose, which this technically is. So you go have a look at that astrolabe. While I go catalog more books. Perugian darkness. The motley tower third floor. The theoplasmic miasma that hung around the room below is a little stronger here, and a little different, with a rotten, musky scent that suggests a decaying reptile house. Perhaps something layered here after the inhabitants departed. Perhaps the inhabitants dreamed unwisely. In any case, the right counter-influences will dispel. I need to put some of this shit down. Because it's kind of hard to sort books when you drop them constantly. Well, that's a book I should be able to read. I can very easily get to a confounding parable. top floor, which gets me heart, knock, rose, and mob. At least that's one thing new. More heart and sky. The Ceaseless Tantra. The avant-garde choreographer Nicolas Gerle supposedly incorporated this tantra into his menacingly ballets. And then Nathan's desk, which I can use to look at some moth things, like these edicts liminal. If I remember correctly, there were scissors in here, which are unlocked. Gets me to 8 without spending memory, which I can use to examine the fire circle tantra. The one known extant copy of this in Western Europe was stolen from the British Library in 1892, when Harvey Haddington confessed to the crime and claimed to have eaten it with butter and garlic in a moment of ungovernable whimsy. Whimsy indeed, if you just decide to straight up eat the damn book. Or scroll, whatever you call it. That is certainly a decision you can take. De Horace Book 1. Have I read that, but not the other one? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Three flowers have the tree. Ernestine Peterhans records her observations of the growth of trees and flowers around the isle, and the omens and portents she attempts to draw from them, particularly the yew tree in Earl Briar's meadow, whose flowerings are sometimes eccentric. I remember last time I couldn't decide whether to pronounce that Ernestine or Ernestine. I still don't know how to pronounce that, I guess. So I guess I am defaulting to Ernestine. Locksmith's Dream Stolen Reflections. That's not gonna fit. That's what she said. Thanks, Trilobite Bob. Herein, the great hooded princes are shown beseeching the wood to rise and devour an invading timid army. The Dapple King, the Honey Tree, and the Sea Twins all deny their request, until they enlist the help of a burrowing secret keeper. Armed with blackmail material from the burrowing secret keeper, the great hooded princes petition the powers of the woods for the second time and are successful. 1/4 of the Tiberit army is devoured by bees, 1/4 drowns themselves, and 1/4 disrobe themselves until nothing remains. And what book was that again? That was the Fire Circle, Tantra. The Caesar's Tantra is devoted mostly to warnings about the lively creatures called percussivans, but concludes with a chant which can be used to summon them. It is observed that percussivans can be taught any dance, but they prefer only one. That which does not cease is not ceased. And we get solutions and separations. The surgeon plies the knife and the mason plies the chisel. There are subtler tools than either. Some of the descriptions are more vague this time around. What do you mean, Valent? Ernestine observes that in years when the in years when the tree flowers black, troubling secrets arise. When it flowers red, war and fires follow, and that notable heir has ever been born in a year when it flowers white. Ernestine attempts to use the tree's growth to advantage in her business affairs, but it fails. She is evidently very concerned when Hendrik the Wolf's grandson, Giles, runs off with the pale trollop Hafren in a year when the tree flowers white. She begins to fear she has entirely misinterpreted all the relevant omens. She is deeply concerned for the continuation of the Wolf line and prays for Giles' return. I guess it is slightly more vague this time around, yeah, as far as, and slightly more philosophical, I suppose. Nothing is history when first it happens. Let's drink some water. Oh dear, it's foggy. Foggy weather means I dig up one of my knock books if I remember correctly. This one is about great scars. It'll have to be that one, I guess. I don't really have a lot of Edict's liminal books. The Cardea's Delights, the third volume of Abbot Jeffrey's hypothetical theological dialogues in the Socratic mode. Some of these fit in scolocosophy. Not you. Not you. What do all these want to do shot? I guess this one works with shot. The crooked. The world is all imbalance, and imbalance is opportunity. Moth knows that. Worms prove it. This is scolocosophy. If Janus were an hour, Cardea might be counted among his names, but the world has never turned in such a manner, and so she is not. What does not bark? An extremely easy moon book. Alexander Probst writes rarely of Calyptra, a law, principle, or society which prevents the dissemination of dangerous knowledge. Ooh, the edict's inviolable. You think the Tree of Wisdom is potentially the through line of all of this? Maybe. Jeffrey discusses the living science, science which changed their shape, and whose flexibility is part of what makes it identifiable. He gives us one example, the paradox of the hinge, and draws comparisons with the named skull twins, who would be considered hours beyond the church. He hints at the amethyst vessel, which can be sanctified by the great science in the presence of Nock. That sounds like something I might want to remember. I'm not gonna though. I will say, Valen, that I am kind of playing this in I get a lot of lore in as possible. I am definitely not being efficient. In Cultist Simulator I kind of was, because you kind of have to be. The Great Science and the Great Scars. Some glyphs are too obscure to reside in any language, but too potent to remain unwritten. And while we're here, might as well upgrade that. Calyptra, like the planet that occludes the star, or the Dorian dog that fails to bark, can be identified only by its absence. Even the name, I think, must be a must. Do I have a Skolakosophy workstation? Because that would make my life easier. I'm gonna just analyze Abbot Jeffrey. I don't think I do. Which is mildly unfortunate, but I'll survive. The boss discard from Hazelwood. The night before Nathan's arrival at the Isle, Abbot Jeffrey recorded a certain prophetic dream, and there is an old tradition in this country concerning the prophetic virtues of Hazel. Perhaps none of these things are related. I see. Calyptra is said to make exceptions specifically for the libraries of the Watchman's Tree. Does it make those exceptions so the Hours can make use of them? The edict's inviolable. The precepts of inclusion and dissolution. Their jealous enforcement is the nature of the Calypso. Rain. Soft rain brings life. De Horus, Book 1. An occasionally coherent catalogue of the secret gods organized by Aur. This is a reprint, but in the original Latin. Dr. Aaron Peel. Exile, riddlemonger, thunderskin devotee, I'd rather say confidant. Impeccably dressed, but always in dark clothing so the stains don't show. Dark the dressings too at his ankles and his wrists. I won't take a seat. It's kind of you to offer. It would be unkind of me to accept. I already speak Fox, so... Who was the watchman when the light went out? In the dark? No, it only works in fog. This thing is St. Mihail's coffin. It'll get out, no doubt of it. That's its nature. Inevitable as breakfast. But what's interesting to me is where it might choose to hide once it's out. Inevitable as breakfast. I stand by the maxim. After one sleeps, one eats, or one is eaten. And of course it is very pleasant to sleep after eating, and very pleasant to sleep after being eaten. One never knows exactly what will happen in the end. Eh, librarian? Only what has happened before. Does it, Fate? I suppose. I think it has to do with his nature as a heartlong, though. There would probably be consequences of him to stop moving. This volume deals mostly with the hours of the wood, the moth, the black flax, the ring yew, among others. The glory is a question, and the moth always answers yes. Simple and to the point. And now we get a tin spin here. Seven moon. That surprised me. Eva's treasury. Rites of the Roots. The oldest hours are the gods from blood, who rose from sacrifice. That blood was always spilled on the roots, and the rites of its spilling are still remembered. It's a good thing that knife can't break. Because if it could, it would have been out. With how much I use it. Snare of the Tree, collected proverbs of Aunt Nancy. Once in the wood, we call it a visit. Twice in the wood, we call a journey. Thrice, we call coming home. Every timber has its knots, the straight and the crooked both. Every weave is more absent than thread. You can't keep nowhere out any more than you can keep somewhere in. Oh hey, snow. Snow might actually be useful. that's unfortunate. When the cuckoo learns the night... Let me try it again. When the cuckoo learns the nightingale's song, our sleep is sweeter than honey. The apple bright. Breath is the temptation of the soul. Pleasures and insights that the church would call the secrets, the sisterhood, the mysteries, and the bureau unsanctioned. Yeah, well, fuck the bureau. Always, Phelan. Always. Although this game specifically does take a less than favorable reputation to them. I mean, in fairness, they are kind of antithetical to what this library is about. The sea does not regret. Aeson Thackeray, one-time Secretary Salvant of the Curia of the Isle, responsible for the Curia's healing efforts, writes of his experiences in Prankrug and hints at his travels elsewhere. Also, Eva's treasury, Eva the Wolf, last of the Brancrugs, discusses the occult and aesthetic properties of jewels and other precious minerals. Black Nephrite and Scolakite for Drip Nowhere, Orichalc and Amber for East, Amethyst and for the Night Key of the Spider Door. Eva points out bitterly that there is no shortage of uplifting parables and proverbs about the saving graces of a flaw in a jewel, but that no one, not a jeweler, not a priest, not an hour, has ever found a way to repair such a flaw. Lightning is a little life and jewel are its size. Jewels are its size. The sea does not regret the tide, Thackeray writes, for when the tide has passed, it leaves its traces on the sand, which traces are the sea's memory. Thackeray is a keen fisherman, and speaks glowingly of the fish suppers of Brancroft. He also admits that his enthusiasm for the bounty of the sea has altered him, that before he came to Brancroft, he consumed only those things found in the earth. I was the greater thereby. But all of us give up what we were to become what we are. Pearl and Tide. The depths of the sea, the waves upon the shore, and the memories of their withdrawal. Locksmith's Dream Trespass. Ooh, more reject liminal. Now, where am I gonna find enough? Enough brain cooperate. Assault sign. That's not what I wanted. But I guess that is what I'm getting. I would, however, rather have the confounding compatible. The third volume of Teresa Galmier's examination of parallels in the mystic dreams of artisans. In this volume, notoriously, Galmier's prose begins to disintegrate, and it is not clear which dreams are in fact her own. The woman in the sand-colored robe has told me, the stairways of the monsters go ever up. Death is down. The mother of ants guards both directions with each of her heads, and so the passage must always be through a wound. I think the white door might be a wound. That's one reason the dead sometimes pass. I think I have the other half of the secret now, and I hope my reader can put both halves together. So, once again, we upgrade the Edict level. Or at least I was hoping to do that. God dingus. Let's call on the lesser names of the chancel to hollow a new threshold. And once again, read the newspaper. An opening opportunity that'll last a little while. It's not easy to draw our own doors, but it's not impossible. Another fruit plucked from knowledge's tree. Let's actually go beachcombing. We... Hey guys, what a coincidence, what a surprise. In the beach we found some sand. It's everywhere, get used to it. The Perugian Diaries. In 1907, at the age of 18, Christopher Illopoli left Strathcoyn's household to study theology at the University of Perugia in Italy, enrolling under the name Christopher Strathcoyn. For 4 years, since his adoption from a Bristol orphanage, Illopoli served as Strathcoyn's pupil and protege, but his relationship with this austere and secretive man was always complicated. His journal confides, "I still think Fraser's intentions are good. Certainly he agrees, but I never understood the final goals of his investigation. He was never prepared to enlighten me, and good intentions or not, I can no longer bear this dream of eyes. We have agreed to part, almost amicably." Illopoli left Perugia in 1909 without completing his degree. He had long lost interest in his studies, and the latter half of the journal is concerned with his studies of Umbrian folk songs and notes towards his own compositions, which are of widely varying quality. One of his better ones, "In the Marshes of Night," suggests he visited the site of the old lake Fucinus near Orduccio. A cheerful ditty. And strings and songs. The Locksmith's Dream Reflections. The fourth volume of Teresa Galmier's expansive work, no longer a discussion of the dreams of artisans, but a valuable survey of other works. The tone is calmer than that of Trespassers, but occasionally fearful, even paranoid. This volume was published in 1926, but almost immediately recalled and pulped by the publisher, at the request of the author, or possibly the authorities, depending which story you believe. A few copies survive. springs in song, the harmonies of the lower skies are here reproduced. Janus is the gatekeeper, the twin god, the god that wounds, the presager of changes, the sun, the moon. So we identify him with the watchman, the twins, with the mother, with the forge, with the meniscate, and the mother god. He cannot be all these, can he? The Flamines knew the church, knew the dry land, knew Elagabalus. Is he then synthesis, or is he something else? In Galatia, they called him Janus Lamius, but the Oblivions are notorious for their slanders. Ah yes, one of the big mysteries of this setting. Who or what the fuck is Janus? Janus has, they say, not one face, but two. To which I reply, why only one? Why only two? Rousseau and Coseley, according to Thomas Love Denman, once agreed that Janus was all the gods and none, but later Rousseau described him as all the gods and Coseley favored none. Denman was a sinister dilettante, but this rings true of them both. The Watchman's Paradoxes. That amber preserves and is preserved by light, that to hatches not to die, that the sun. There is a place behind the world called the Monses. Deeds that would be impossible in the world are inevitable there. The Watchman, who knows all the ways of the Monses, also knows how to make these deeds possible in the waking world. We call upon the Watchman, who navigates, who illuminates, who is not merciful. Storm. Can I muster up enough horsepower to actually do something with that? Something in me doubts it, but nope, I can. And because I actually speak or can read Kilosimi, it's not really a spoken language, I think. Oh no, it actually is. Two wombs, one heart. A fanciful account by Tirzah Blake of the early life of the twins, their time as mortals before they became ours, or even long, in a dry kingdom beyond the Western Sea, which Tirzah suggests might have been ancient Mexico. That makes enough sense. Incidentally, bird song. That would, for instance, be leaves and thorns, which gets me to core. If I remember correctly, that might actually be appropriate. And for some reason, I can get to this one too. Great signs and the great scars in Hushery mode, which gives me Trist, and Trist is not a lie. But leaves and thorns is nectar and grail, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, core is grail and heart. But I am gonna double check that. One grail and two heart. No, I'm right. So, let's assign it. Exuberance, instinct, and rhythm. One grail, two heart. And then there's great signs and great scars, which in Horror Macastry mode gets me Fet, which is Moth and Rose, and in Hushery mode gets me Trist, which is Moth and Moon. Neither of which are really appropriate, so I'm gonna keep this out for now. Oh, I should also be free. The gardener's first lesson is this: look up. What starts as weather ends in the world. What starts as sky ends in the soil. This is what the birds know, and the birds know most things first. It is widely known that the sister was rich and the witch poor. It is widely known that the witch loved the sister first. It is not widely known that the witch was first employed to teach the sister the arts of embroidery. How alarmingly mundane. Although Tirza is very probably just making up much of the story, there are long passages expounding notable techniques of weavework and threadfelt. In particular, when the witch and sister flee across the sea to be together, Tirza explains how they fashioned a peace weave with heart and these arts, and then, to tame the winds, called on hearts again to swaddle the thunder in the peace weave. Well, time to throw another glass of water in the well. Welcome back, Faye. Stitching and binding. Nothing is entirely broken, nor entirely whole. Not so long as we have our needles. I hope I get another visitor soon, though. I have more languages I would like to learn. Incidentally, if Enix Lab Liminal is level 4, then we start getting to the point where winter free. That is almost 6. No, I do not want the cranial tchotchke. Of course the stupid dot. Wait, no it doesn't. That would be weird. It would make a certain kind of sense, but it would still be weird. Doesn't the knife have winter in it? It does, actually. Thank you for telling me that. Rugged Crossroads is fine. On the White, Solomon Husher writes, perhaps allegorically, of winter, and its long, slow, doomed romance with the sun. The epigraph is sunset at noon. Quenchings and quellings. I've never cataloged these solar books. I should probably do that at some point. Who knows, there might be something readable in it, or easily readable at least. On closer investigation, the work seems to be a theory of aesthetics, or perhaps a set of warnings about the dangers of painting. Damascene traditions of the House of Leto. The House of Leto was an order of immortals who sought obscurity, rejecting their past and future. If the author of this short text is to be believed, the initiates of the Damascene branch were much more radical than their fellows elsewhere. might as well store this diary here. As much of a bitch as it is going to be afterwards to pick it up. Actually, I'll just put it with my successor. Usher writes distractedly about his suspicion of colors and his yearning for death. He hints at a great work he has envisaged, or begun, where the palest of paintings will enthrall the world. He returns again and again to certain compelling phrases which he claims are the secret words of winter. Has he been talking to Miss Nyania? Because if he has, then he has cannibalism on his name. Quenching Tinquellies. Arts which quench fires and bring solace to the troubled mind. A true adept is never troubled by fire, nor by fever, nor by restless spirit. And that one might actually be useful because that's hearts, winter, and geoplasmic contamination. Which I do have a couple of. So I can easily get to 4. Does the knife have heart on it? It doesn't. Have I reread any books I've mastered? No, I know I can get memories out of that, but I gotta be honest, part of it is that I'm kind of hesitant to go through all the freaking books I've already read and find out which memories I actually want out of them. Later game, I'm sure that will be useful though. For scale. But that I can maybe pull off. Horns and ivory for 2. a surreal contemporary play by the enigmatic Monica Medina, in which the queens of the rivers are murdered one by one. Well, the messenger's casket is coming up again. And my yearly stipend is coming in. Nice. I should probably look to unlock more of the house. Yeah, a year is about 12 days apparently, or maybe 16. Although I, of course, doubt strongly that these are regular human days. Most likely it's more of an abstraction of time than the literal time. The Queen of the Vistula is poisoned. The Queen of the Dnieper chokes on a fishbowl. The Queen of the Tagus is burned alive. The culprit, it transpires, is the audience. The surviving queens are directed to execute whatever audience members do not escape. A surprisingly lucid epilogue suggests that the correspondence of river names with historical events does provide clues to secret histories behind their own. Half and Pilgrim. Lamp is blocking my access again. I don't know why that lamp does that, it's kind of annoying. Alright, who's coming in? Is there someone en route to our house? Nope, it appears we're finished. The end of the affair. A story has no beginning or end. Arbitrarily, one chooses that moment of experience from which to look back from, or from which to look ahead. particular is the food, any visitors to see will likely just want a general consider. Father Stanislav John Scholar, priest, diplomat, gardener, a soft-voiced man with a very steady gaze, who understands crack-track. A traveler is always returning. One who does not is no traveler. Interesting take. Well, Father Scholar, bless you and bless the house you serve. My visitors can teach me the rudiments of the primal language that we rather underwhelmingly call crack-track, because there is no name for that language in that language. Ah, a language so primitive that it doesn't know how to refer to itself. I see. A stalking fugitive. I'll take you. Can explore the veiled chamber. Let's do that then. In the tracks of beasts, in the convolution of his own carapace, in egg vein and shell shadow, the many-eyed one found the signs which can be hissed. Nectar and scale are both, I think, only found in health. Problem is, by the time he accepts that, it'll be dusk. Either the preservation or illumination path. That gives me fast, that gives me core. I don't think either is appropriate for this. In which case, logic would say wait, but I'm just gonna go for fast. Sight, perception, inspiration, all the glory's gifts. Which one am I still missing? I'm missing West. So core, adept, fat, health, metal, fast, shot, and tryst. Yeah, I'm just missing West. Clouds. Clouds are not very useful. For any site investigation will get me to 5, and the lens will get me to 6. Let's look at Serena's head then. That is Serena, isn't it? Watchman's paradoxes, and the mirror scope. The Gospel of Nicodemus, an apocryphal account of the works and experiences of the shepherd illuminate by one of his supposed companions. At least 7 holes. That's the tricky part, isn't it? Because that gets me to 1, that gets me to 3. This would get me to 5. And then I would need to use the puppet to get me to 7. Which would make that only worthwhile if I could actually read the fucking book it gave me. Which worms require winter, which I just do not have a grasp on yet. Incidentally, is there anything I can solve in here? The aspect of illumination, metal, or more fast? Well, that's unhelpful. Inventory lucis soli invicto nuntio reads the dedication, loosely translatable as I am the herald of the sun unconquerable, light's contriver. This is a variation on the more usual Invicto Augusto, the declaration which united the eastern and western traditions of the Church Solar. The Shepherd Illuminate, the Virgin Born, warns of the sun's division but promises its ultimate reunification in the second dawn through the ministry of Saint Uzult. Uzult is of course the ink of the power used by the librarians of the tree, but also venerated as a saint in some borderline heterodox solar traditions. The Sacra Solis Invicti. The rites of the Church of the Unconquered Sun, and certain secrets of the gods from light. Makes me wonder if I can use that as a solar altar to do something special. Not without fast, I can't. A surrealist painter. Grail, Rose and Mouth. Not the most useful at the moment. Rain. A new book. A bit too hard to read also. Even with the crack track, that would be 8. So 5, 6, 8, and that would be 10. So that would be really hard to read. No, actually I could read it, but I can't afford a book, so moot point. Moot point either way. I should catalog these books. Why do these solar period books insist on being really hard to read? The Raptures of Forculus, the first volume of Abbot Jeffrey's hypothetical theological debates in the Socratic mode. And the good news is that all I need to read it is effort. What book is this? Oh, right, the hypothetical debates. Surrealist painter. I still left my head. So. Could go down. 2.5 shillings, obviously. If Janus were an hour, Forculus might be counted among his names, but that door remains closed, and so Forculus is not. I should consider that knife, considering it is kind of real. Jeffrey discusses the sign that marks doors, which might permit or forbid access to certain thoughts and dreams, speculating, carefully, on which of the sanctioned hours might teach or govern each sign. I'm no expert, but I'm no dabbler. First of all, let's deploy our surrealist painter. The overgrown kitchen garden. This place has been surrendered to wind and weed. Bees buzz menacingly. Somewhere, something clucks plaintively. plaintively even. Alright, I was gonna analyze a knife. The result will probably be incredibly boring, but oh well. An afternoon spent profitably reading newspapers to the curious, writing affectionate letters for the lonely, steering farmers through the requirements of the Ministry of Agriculture. The tang is engraved with the letters TB. The bone has absorbed the dark stain that might be old blood, or it might be old strawberries. Alright, turns up Blake. The kitchen garden, where we have beehives, chickens, and various vegetable gardens. But I think that's going to do it for me for today. And so I shall ask Trilobite Bot for my script. Let's see. Shut up, second Dojel. I think we're just going to say hi to Mew. Why not? Mew's doing Uma Musume. I think everyone will probably have heard of Uma Musume by now, so go have fun with her. I would like to thank everyone who came and watched me today. I would like to thank Valent, Tube55, and Lily Suzume for keeping me company today. I would like to not stumble over my tongue today either. Go have fun with Mew, have a nice night, and as always, don't be a stranger, because that's my job. I'll see you next time. Good night.